YouTube, how is everybody doing? Welcome to the second match of the day. This is gonna be a big boy one right there. It is El Clasico of the Ark of Osiris. It's the rematch of the year. We've been waiting for it quite literally for almost a year. None other than JWM against UCS. This was probably the most spectated Ark of Osiris match ever before the Osiris League began. And it was madness. It was the first time these two alliances collided in Ark of Osiris. It was a planned collision. And at the time, UCS were much more strategically savvy than the folks at JWM, who came in showing brunt force in unbelievable fashion. But the strategy and tactics of UCS during that first encounter really sealed the deal in their favor and shook JWM to its core. It was at that point that they realized power is not about this game. This game is not about power. It's all about strategy, executing a plan, executing your tactics, leading the rallies, defending the buildings, and not just swarming everything possible. And so with their superior tactics and strategy, UCS figured out how to win that first match and win it big time. And ever since, these two alliances have been doing anything they can for a rematch. I quite literally cannot emphasize enough how many times they signed up for the same Ark of Osiris time, on the same day, every single time, ever since the first match happened, hoping and praying that the rematch comes upon them. And this time, that rematch is here. But this is not a simple rematch. It is the end of the line for one of the two in Osiris League. That is right. This is the end for one of these two major alliances. We have previously seen both of them in Osiris League, including one of the most devastating losses. The first one for UCS in Osiris League, I believe last week. It shook them down to the core, or 2 weeks ago, I apologize. Not last week, the week after that. It shook them down to its core. It was a wake-up call for them that they have to either step it up or step aside, and they did, and that's where we are today. You guys had a lot to say about this. It was a very, very one-sided affair in the betting scene. The folks at JWM are a massive favorite according to the Oryx betting. However, the difference between these two alliances isn't something that is very big. We're looking at JWM, who are about 2.88 million power, and they're going up against the folks of UCS with 2.6 billion power. Let's make sure that everything is make sure that everything is as it's supposed to be. With 2.6 billion power, sorry about that, these guys are no joke. The one loss right here really did shake them up a little bit against the dark horse of this season, 96RZ, who are playing on the other match today against DSP, and we will make sure to cover that for you guys like we did in the previous match, with a score point that goes live at the bottom in the center of the screen. It'll let you guys know what's going on that other match, and we will do our best to come and go through the match as time goes by. In the last cast we had, it was impossible for us to leave that match and take a look at the other match that was happening at the time. It got so close, it got so tight, and it was so stressful that I'm still feeling a little bit sick, to be honest with you. And I don't know if I can handle another one of those matches right now, because that went down to the wire. Today with me co-casting this match is Dragothian. And again, this stream is brought to you by the sponsored content creators of Rise of Kingdoms and Lilith Gaming themselves. Now, the betting odds are really, really, really weird right there. Very, very one-sided affair. And by the way, I do not believe that any of these matches will justify any of these odds, any of the very skewed, very one-sided odds. Because at the end of the day, these are all the top tier alliances. These are the folks that have been working very, very hard through the months in the past to figure out how they set up these teams of theirs to the best of their ability. These are guys who have been playing for months together, and trust me when I tell you, the playbook of both of these alliances is so deep that it's a little bit scary to think the kind of things that they can come up with. I will be highlighting to you guys as a member of JWM some of these playbooks, tactics that JWM has and will be deploying through the match, including one of those which has been a hidden secret for now, hasn't been showing up on the open field yet, and today for the first time you will get to see it. Personally, I am hoping for a very close matchup and that this rematch of the century, I mean El freaking Clasico of Ark of Osiris, will be probably one of the best matches of the day. That's what I'm hoping for. And regardless, both of these alliances at their top tier coming in here to try to clinch a spot in the next phase of the Osiris League. We are about 3 minutes away from the match. And again, with me casting today is Dragothian. If you guys are enjoying these casts, you guys are enjoying our work to ensure that the community has this place where you can come in and watch Ark of Osiris, even if you didn't make it into the 500 observers available in game. Make sure you come into the channels, come say hi, subscribe to the channels, say hello in one of the comments on a video. Down below, everybody's links reside. Myself, Chisco Gaming, and Dragothian putting in the hours, time, and effort to make sure that you folks have the best coverage possible for Osiris League. On top of that, if you want next season to be even bigger and better, we're talking more casts, more casters, more streams at the same time, more matches, more. You need to make sure to let Lilith Gaming know. Let them know you want this to grow, to be bigger, that you enjoy this event. Go on the Discord, go on their Facebook page, go anywhere, drop a comment, let them know that this is something you guys want to see being improved on and worked on, as we have improved this cast with every week, adding and implementing the things that you need in order to enjoy this league the most. My final thoughts is that I have been waiting for this for a very long time. A few folks from UCS have already hit me up on that Discord going, good luck, the smiles all over the place. At the end of the day, these two alliances are friendly alliances to each other. It is a competition. It is a knockout competition. But these two alliances are not only friendly, but the spirit behind this is all sports-like. And trust me when I tell you, we are about to go into a hell of a match. These two teams prepared a full playbook, and I have a very good feeling we are about to watch both those playbooks down to the T. And hopefully, we will be able to crown one of these guys at the end of the day. Well, we will be at the end of this match as the next individual going into the final 8 alliances moving into next week. With that being said, it seems like the match should have started in the last 10 seconds or so. We will double check and make sure everything is ready to go for us to enjoy this cast. Looking at my command center on the side right here, 96 RZ and DSP happening in the background. And again, we will be covering that to an extent with an awesome little live score like we did in the previous cast. So let's go into the field where Dragothian is expecting us, and hopefully have a great match. Good luck, have fun, and yeah, let's go into the field.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Another match is coming up in front of you right now. We've got quite a few matches here this weekend that are going to be absolutely amazing, especially if anything is to be coming out of those first 2 matches that we just had. If that's any indication of what we're going to be seeing throughout the day, you all are in for a significant treat. NB, of course, eliminating NB1 and 2, eliminating their respective opponents and moving on to the round of 8. This match is for the round of 16. The winner continues on to the round of 8. The loser goes home. This is why we watch these matches, and this is why all of these alliances fought so hard and built these teams to be able to compete at this level. It's going to be an exciting match, and like Echo said, this is one of those rematches of the centuries. This is the match El Clasico. Definitely looking forward to this one, Gecko. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking we're about to see the two most anticipated alliances on the field go nuts. And we're looking at both of them right now. UCS already showing up with the known names right here. Some of these folks are folks who we've seen playing for and competing with the UCS tag for quite a while. This team looks super dialed in and ready to go. Although leadership is still missing on the open field, but they will be here momentarily. And in 22 seconds, the gates of hell will open up for both sides. Rallies are going to come out all over the place. What do you think, Dragothian? Are JWM going to capture an early obelisk again? Especially if it's against UCS?
Yeah, I was just about to say, right? These two alliances have fought really hard in the pre-qualifiers and their respective divisions and groups, and they're here for a reason. So I don't necessarily think they're going to be able to ninja capture one like they did in the past. That being said, JWM is strong, is powerful. The match is live, and already, so many armies starting to pour out from the blue side. Let's check the red side. Oh yeah, it's definitely going to get started real quick, real soon. I
Look
know
at
that I
that.
can see all those T5s, and I guarantee you there's going to be some in the middle. We're going to get some early rounds. We got the rallies going, 10 rallies at the beginning.
Look at the 10 rallies. We're not only looking at the standard 4 rallies on each side on those obelisks. We're now looking at both UCS and JWM aiming at some of these outposts at an early stage. We've talked about this in the past in casts where these outposts are available for occupation instantly. Unfortunately, they can only fit 500,000 troops, but still, it is something. And so these folks are looking to push some troops out, marching these rallies. 4 rallies on JWM's side right now going towards obelisks, while UCS going for 3 obelisks and 2 outposts. I mean, the one thing that is really interesting right now is 3 of UCS's rallies are in waiting mode, which means someone joining that rally is a little bit late. That could delay things significantly. And JWM starting strong, 2 outposts already in their name, while UCS picking up their first one right now. A slight, very slight early on advantage for JWM just on that first quick occupation. This is nothing massive. It's nothing that is game changing right now, but UCS definitely want to start picking up the pace, which they do, picking up an obelisk first and a second outpost too. And I didn't even manage to finish my sentence, and UCS turns things around.
Yeah, sure enough, you start to see all these objectives starting to light up for their respective alliances, and looks like UCS was the first to capture both, utilizing those T1 troops that are super speedy. And now JWM just got theirs too. Tons of armies flooding in the middle. And I got to say, so we talked about this the first match of the day, didn't we, Gecko? I mean, I think that we're going to start seeing some little variations from the norm. There's going to be some different strategies used on both sides here that right off the bat we were already able to see. The outpost rallies right off the bat. I have seen that and done that. And I can tell you that it is effective on slowing down the progression of troops to the middle if they do fire off some obelisk or some outpost rallies, because they got to deal with it. If UCS is going to send 2 rallies to outposts, they either need to keep people there to defend, which is, again, 2 armies because it's a 500K cap that aren't able to go to the middle or to objectives, or they don't defend it, and then they've got to have 2 or 3 armies at least to go swarm it down, or they have to send another rally, which is a minute. I mean, there's so many things that people have to come up with right on the fly if they're not expecting stuff like this. And that's why, again, I think you're going to see some crazy variations here that may make the difference in a match because we're not doing things per the usual.
Dragothian, are you seeing this? The bottom obelisk goes in
Oh
favor
my.
of JWM. Early on, UCS barely making their way. Now the rally trying to get this obelisk. The rally in charge of capturing this obelisk was not fast enough, did not make it here in time. JWM holding onto the obelisk for 30 long seconds and counting. It's going to go down most likely. It seems like this Cao Cao doesn't have that much in him to potentially hold on to this. But this is over 40-second delay on that bottom obelisk. Over 40-second delay on, what would it be, 5 teleports? My God.
Wow. Wow. So on my screen, I see a Richard, and I think on your screen you see the Richard Charles skills going off.
Yeah, I
I
see
know
a
that
Cao Cao right there. Apparently there's a Richard right there. What do you know?
yeah,
It
yeah,
was
and they
so
did it
fast,
right,
the
right?
Cao
We
Cao is
talked about
showing
this.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about this, and I can't believe it, to be honest with you. UCS definitely. You said they were waiting, right? They were waiting on people to join, and that can certainly have caused this big time. It is recaptured, but that's precious seconds at the beginning of this match where they're not going to be able to teleport in. They're not going to start generating points. This could set them behind, especially on the bottom side here. I'd definitely take a look. You can already see JWM pushing forward in a significant way, already at the obelisk from a structure's position.
And my goodness, JWM also not waiting a moment, going for those desert altars. 3 altars very quickly early on for JWM's hold. And we talked about this, as you mentioned in the past. Rallying a structure doesn't mean you have to keep the same commanders leading that defense. What these guys did was a Cao Cao at the front that ran across the field. And as soon as that obelisk was occupied, they swapped the captain out to a Richard that had a massive hold. Look at the teleports right now. The guys from UCS got the first 5 very, very quickly, but now they are stuck at that bottom waiting for the extra 5. JWM swarming the one UCS desert altar. UCS trying to get back into this with their own desert altar at the bottom and a lot of presence nearby. These guys are hitting these buildings hard. I think they will probably trade here altars. But that again works out in the favor of JWM that are right now holding on to 3. And you know what's the scare here for UCS, right? Those first occupation bonuses. 750 points per altar you hold in the first 3 minutes of occupation. And as of right now, JWM are looking into holding on to all 4 altars.
Wow, look at this. I mean, UCS is posturing forward at that desert altar, but I think they're going to, because they've got enough reinforcements there. Yeah, UCS may take it back before that first occupation, but still, 3 out of 4 would not be a bad trade-off to have those sky altars. Like you said, 150 points per altar that you have in your favor. And even if UCS does capture this, which it looks like they will because they're just swarming it down, they still have to wait 3 minutes to go ahead and recapture that. I mean, this should have already been captured. This should have already been captured by a long shot.
Heck yeah, this is the desert altar that's sitting on the UCS side. Finally, this swarm is successful. And what can be said? At this point, there's still 3 long minutes for UCS to hold and hold tight for them to be able to successfully occupy for the first time this desert altar. If they do so, they'll at least mitigate that little bit of damage. They're trying to do the same up on the top with the sky altar, which has 24 seconds remaining. And although it seems to be relatively full, it still is potentially going to lock in. 15 seconds remaining. That bar is going down very, very quickly. JWM really trying to hold on to it for the last 9 seconds to get that extra 750 point lead very early on. 4 seconds. And as the health bar goes red, they pick it up. They pick it up and swap it out. At this stage, altars are even. Damage control has been done-ish. But JWM taking a 2,400 point lead and what it looks to be a 280 point per minute lead very, very early on. That bottom obelisk finally locked in the favor of UCS, who ported 3 members down here. Boy, oh boy, Dragothian. Shrine of Life, both of them belonging to JWM. What do you say? Are we going to see more than that JWM 0 healing this time around?
Well, if any of the alliances in this playoffs are going to be able to do it, it's these two. We were talking in the before the match started, and just trying to figure out and see who how many each side are going to heal up, and we started to realize that wow, these alliances are older alliances, being from Kingdom 2, being from Kingdom 59. These alliances are tenured veterans, and they've got tons of troops to play with. So they may not even need to use many, if any, but probably I think we came to the consensus of about 10 million on each side. With that being said, again, having both of those shrines of life, not necessarily a huge deal at this point in the game from a bonus standpoint, but certainly an advantage when it comes to the points per minute game.
Heck yeah, 640 points per minute in the favor of JWM, and UCS are doing everything they can to get back into this match right now. JWM not shying away from swarming this Shrine of War with a rally. The Shrine of War was successfully taken. Thankfully for UCS, I believe they did occupy this Shrine of War and therefore take away the first occupation bonus. First occupation bonus is really that first big like step up in the points, that first big chunk of points you get to start yourself in the match. And look at the difference, almost 4,000 point lead for JWM. We are not even 10 minutes in the match, and for the chat who seems to be very concerned with me being in JWM and thinking I got kicked. Yeah, this is a camera account, ladies and gentlemen. We are not gonna spectate the match from the JWM account. At the end of the day, some trade secrets have to stay secret, and so we respect the both sides. We have accounts on both kingdoms, but we're spectating from a side account. That way, nobody's secrets are revealed accidentally. With that being said, Dragothian, on the other match happening, we have to highlight that other match too, my man. 590 points to the blue team, to the guys at 96 RZ against the 440 points per minute for DSP, a 96 RZ with a 2,000 point lead very early on. And on this Sky Altar, this is the playbook. This is the play I promised you guys I would highlight for you. How many Wuzetjans do you think are on the are on this field, Dragothian? How many Wuzetjans are you betting JWM has maxed out before this match? I will tell the answer, but I'm curious to see what you think. How many of these are on the field?
I know a few people that I'm very familiar with that have them maxed or close to max, so I'd imagine they should have at least 4.
That is the number right there. There are 4 Wuzetjans inside every single one of these rallies. These altars will be protected by a max Wuzetjan any possible time. That is right. 4 of them have been groomed, saved up, and prepared for this exact thing. We've been talking about these top tier alliances who are playing at the highest of levels. These are individuals who saved up and held off on maxing out commanders such as Tamaris, such as Edward, and such as many others in order to guarantee themselves these maxed out Wuzetjans for this exact reason. That's the kind of play we expect at this top tier level. The folks doing everything they can to give their team the extra edge. That Sky Altar up on the top being rallied by JWM, but it looks like the UCS defense will hold that strong. And very quickly, the points per minute game is evened out. But what do we see in the center?
It's going to be crazy. I'm not sure how far this arc is going to go. I mean, it's already going straight up to the JWM side, and they've got a very, very solid middle. Don't see any or many UCS in the middle. I think, again, that initial punch that JWM did at the very beginning of the match has really set them on their back foot, being UCS. And with that being said, I mean, wow, what are you supposed to do here? They're already ahead. Looks like they're about to capture an arc right off the bat here too, without much resistance at all. And 2 Shrines of War being in favor of JWM with Not much happening in the way of taking it back on UCS's side because of all the field presence that JWM is able to position forward on the map. That Shrine of War on the right definitely looking like it's going to at least hold up for quite a bit longer. And like you said, these Wu YSG combinations on this back side here is proving devastating. We have done so much testing with a couple of the people that I play with on Wu, and Wu YSG is the play, guys. That there's going to be a very difficult time for UCS punching through these defenses of JWM on the back line.
Yes, sir. We were watching the leader of UCS, one of the most known names in this game, one of the most notorious names in this game. This is a guy who, 2 days after getting his Charlemagne, it was maxed the frick out. That is none other than Ende, the leader of UCS. He is one of the savviest players in the game, and he was being swarmed, rallied, everything happening in there. His Richard was doing everything it could to penetrate through those defense lines. Again, Wuzetia now holding on to a Desert Altar up on the top, and Abe's rally is slowly and steadily dwindling down. Those infantries that are extra tanky going down slowly and steadily, even with all these insane Richard heals. Now Wuzetia barely looks like it's getting scratched at all. And a counter rally on its way here too.
Yeah, that's what I was about to go into. I mean, the coordination level of these two alliances is very, very, very high. The rallies and the counter rallies are on point. The map is starting to even out-ish with UCS trying to continue to take the Shrine of War and still unable to do so with that rally breaking. There's just so much JWM sitting there right at that front position Shrine of War on the UCS side. We've got blinking buildings on the bottom lane too, with more and more JWM trying to take more and more of UCS structures to get those points and extend that lead. Right now, with 11,600 points in favor of JWM versus 4,800 in favor of UCS, it's already starting to turn into not a blowout, but there's going to be a large delta to overcome from the UCS side, and they're going to have serious plays with that point differential on top of the per minute points being in favor of JWM.
Thankfully, though, for UCS, JWM did leave them a lifeline. They did leave them a lifeline. That arc being captured very early on is not something we are seeing as of late. First and foremost, if there aren't that many fights, we've been seeing quite a lot of arc hoarding lately. We've seen that as a tactic that people have used. Capture that 3,000 point arc, hold on to it, buy your obelisk, just chill with it until the time comes when you need to get those 3,000 points. By delivering that arc, JWM did leave UCS a lifeline, because now the timer started ticking down for the next arc of Osiris. 7 minutes to go, and UCS can very easily come back into this with 40 minutes remaining in the match. Plenty of time, if this keeps going the way it is, for at least another one, if not two arcs. And that's the kind of lifeline UCS are really in need of. That Desert Altar almost went down, and one March made it in to hold on to it just a little bit longer, as Box's rally is going nuts.
There it goes.
And there
it goes. JWM was able to take it with that swarm. Don't see many there in favor of UCS to be able to take it on with all those armies on the open field, plus what's inside of that Desert Altar. I think that they're going to have a very good chance of capturing that, which again will increase their points per minute total for JWM even more. And at the same time, there's another rally with some solid JWM field support at the top Sky Altar that's blinking as well. And that's looking like that's going to be a tight match as well, while another UCS rally just walked right past it and is also going up towards, it looks like, the Shrine of Life for JWM. So definitely crisscrossing rallies on the field. That's something that we definitely look to see in this event in Rise of Kingdoms. Oh my goodness. So much action, so many armies on the field, and the coordination, especially from JWM, is clearly being showcased here with having a 13,000 to 6,000 point lead with a huge points per minute total advantage. And look what's going on in the 96 RZ side. on the other match, 96RZ, who from a betting standpoint was the underdog, looking very, very solid with a 9,700 to 7,500 lead over DSP. Both of those alliances have been very scrappy, very, very well coordinated, and very fearsome fighters on the battlefield. That's looking really good as well with 96RZ on top. That's pretty good.
And you mentioning that second match, I cannot not go take a peek. So, chat, let's make our way to the second match briefly for a couple of moments as we can take a look at what's going on that open field right now. We have JWM versus UCS down here where the folks of DSP versus 96RZ were. So you can keep an eye on that match still. But looking right now, 96RZ carrying the Ark of Osiris quite comfortably towards the outpost of Iset, about to gain another 3,000 point lead. And after that last match, Dragosian, you and I stayed on call like we always do, kind of debriefed, talk about what was good, what was bad, what we think is going to happen next, what we're going to take a look at, and things like that. And the thing that you said, I mentioned that my heart couldn't take what happened last time. I was coming off of a adrenaline high, and you said to me, I need to get ready for the rest of these matches because every single one of them should be as close and as tight as the one we casted earlier today, which, by the way, the VOD for it will be available in the Rise of Kingdoms official channel soon. But these two matches right now seem a little less intense, although there are 36 minutes remaining for both matches, and the map looks fairly even on that 96RZ match, and they are holding on to their own Ark of Osiris, just like we mentioned, delaying that Ark of Osiris. The map is pretty fairly even. We're going to keep an eye on this match, but while it's going on, let's switch back to the JWM versus UCS match and see what else we can find in that match and how UCS will start their comeback.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at that last match, different strategy playing out, right? And I would also say, the two alliances that we just saw with 96RZ and DSP are a different kind of alliance versus JWM and UCS. JWM and UCS are the old school. They're the old guard that are still plugging away and evolving. I mean, I cannot tell you. I still remember the first match I saw, and everybody was so excited to see it between JWM, UCS. It's when I actually first started really casting games in Rise of Kingdoms on my channel was when that stuff first started. And I know that you had cast that game too. Mm-hmm. And just seeing the evolution of what the game and what these two alliances looked like then to what they are now is amazing. It definitely goes to show you what you can do whenever you really have a solid leadership group behind you who are invested into the game from a strategy standpoint and really looking forward to seeing how this game plays out. Even though there's a huge delta right now, UCS has the power and the tools to do a comeback.
When you say that, everybody raises an eyebrow a little bit because there are 4 altars that are blue right now. One is about to go red. There's a swarm on it. Uzechan is good, but Man and Negan's Rally plus an Ethelfled plus a bunch of other marches. This is just a little bit too much to ask out of a maxed out lady.
I don't know. I don't know. I've seen what Wu YSG can do, and
I don't know, man. These are too many tier 5s right here. Too many tier 5s for my liking. But one thing about that first match that you did see, you pointed out that this is how really all this casting stuff began. This was the first match that we all truly, really ran around trying to figure out how we can get it casted. And that first matchup was a terrible, terrible wake-up call for the folks at JWM. At that point, JWM was at its height in the sense that they were not only the dictators, but the very cruel dictators of Kingdom 59 who just did everything by power. After this match, this was the turning point for the folks of JWM, believe it or not. Getting beaten down by UCS was where JWM realized it is time for us to step up our strategic game, our thoughtful game rather than brute force game, and that is really what propelled JWM to be what it is today. A loss against UCS was really what caused JWM to be the dominant alliance it is today, not only on Ark of Osiris, but also in Lost Kingdom. It was a huge wake-up call for them, a big slap in the face, and I can tell you for a fact that after that loss to UCS, things never looked the same inside JWM, and they've been waiting for a long, long, long time to show UCS what they've caused JWM to become.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're looking at this desert altar here, looking about to go down in favor of UCS, but again, they were able to capture it, use it for some points. JWM is definitely all over this map. They are doing rallies where they need to be doing rallies. This arc is neutral at the moment, but again, I mean, there's some fighting in the middle, but it's not really what I expected from the UCS folks. I mean, we've got people running back with sad faces on the red team, and wow, I mean, if they capture another arc, I'm pretty sure that even though we've got a little over 30 minutes left, I mean, we're starting to get to the territory of I just need to maintain. This is the prevent defense phase that may be coming up for JWM. Although, you know, if I was JWM looking at what's been working so far, being aggressive, putting them on their back foot, them being UCS, and, you know, continuing to push forward alongside of holding that middle relatively easily, to be honest with you. They're not really needing to commit too many troops to the middle to do what they're doing right now. So, you know, as you crash too, I'm going to go ahead and go over to the right side where there's also a Shrine of War and a Desert Altar, Sky Altar, also blinking, both in favor of UCS right now. Just looking at the map, though, we're looking at pretty solid open field advantage going to UCS. However, this Shrine of War, yeah, it's got a Richard. It's looking pretty solid. Everything's looking to stay the same, I think, with based off of the garrison and also the amount of open field fighting going on there with JWM. I think the purpose of that was to keep those armies from UCS from coming to the middle and helping try and stop this Ark of Osiris capture in favor of JWM. But unfortunately, unless some significant changes unfold with some rallies coming up from the bottom from UCS or something like that, looks like this one's also going to get captured relatively easily in favor of JWM.
And yet again, UCS can only hope and pray JWM give them another potential lifeline by capturing this arc as soon as possible. In that way, another one pops up. Remind you, Dragothian, you know this, but probably the community might have forgotten this. The first Ark of Osiris is 30,000 points. The second one is worth 3,500 points. The third one, 4,000 points. The fourth one, 4,500 points. And believe it or not, there have been conversations and math happening in the background where a fifth arc can spawn only if tier 1s make it insanely fast with the arc back and forth all 4 times, which would be a 5,000 point arc. 2 arcs in favor of JWM right now, again, is still not the end. The next 2 arcs should be worth more points. And so UCS right now need to regroup and refigure out what they're trying to do. The first good step is what they're doing right now. 2 Shrines of Life being contested with a lot of marches all over this place. But it seems, curiously enough, that the folks of UCS have been attracted to a Provisions YSG over the Shrine of Life. What is going on, Dragothian? Bottom Shrine of Life, there's a rally hitting it, and instead of these marches on the open field helping out the rally take a building, they are swarming a Provisions YSG by Cyrus, who distracted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 marches away from that Shrine of Life. And that rally went down from yellow to red real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really say that I understand that play from UCS. You've got a rally hitting an objective that's continually scoring points for your opponent, and you've got a rally on your own side that literally is on its last legs. And you know, Freddie doing some solid work being in the garrison somehow, considering he's not really well known for being a garrison commander, but. Yeah, I mean, it looks like eventually I think they will get it, but that's just, again, more and more seconds. And I think that's telling, you know, looking at the score right now, JWM holding a 3-1 advantage in the points category. the most part with a solid points per minute total. I think just that picture right there kind of describes why. I mean, there's just some questionable plays coming from the red team right now.
I feel like it is panic mode right now. It's one of those things where when it rains, it pours. And when you sit there in the Discord call or Skype call or whatever you folks are using to communicate with your alliance mate through Osiris League, one of the most crazy things is what happens now. Like when people start panicking and the background noise is crazy, what do you do? And with that being said, all that can be done is really relax, breathe, come back into this, and remember the playbook. Remember who you are. Remember what you're doing. Remember that there is 27 minutes remaining, and JWM are not leading by that much on the points per minute game, which means UCS are still holding on very well to the match as is. The big problem is, how do you close this almost 20,000 points gap in 27 minutes?
Well, I mean, how is a very good question. We're looking at all these rallies that are going on right now. JWM had sent an obelisk rally at the bottom that just got defeated. So that was done. And I think that was more of a distraction rally to try and help hold the open field as they do start to make some serious inroads on the open field. Does UCS here at the left sky altar, and then you've got the one that's actually blinking on the top with one rally versus one building, with Wu holding on against Alex pretty handily. Just looking at the damage ticking from both sides on the structure and the rally, and then now JWM has got some reinforcements coming in as well. That's certainly going to hold in favor of JWM, having three altars in general, in favor of them from a points per minute perspective. And I believe which one's not ticking yet? The desert altar in the middle of those three, with just over 1 minute left in favor of JWM, looking to capture it. There is a rally about to hit right this second.
Yes, sir. As you mentioned that, we swooped our way down to the desert altar. UCS with a Genghis Khan rally on the Saladin holding onto this desert altar. Looks like Uzetian found herself somewhere else. We saw her on the Shrine of War and on one of these altars. Not in here. This is Box's maxed out Saladin holding onto this desert altar for dear life. Open field combat happening as UCS try to bring in some extra marches. Ende trying to get in here and get some work done. Pepe not letting him make it there. And even though Ende might maybe make it with a sliver health, it might not be enough for him to be able to help out. On the other hand, he does have two archer marches right here, or highlighting an Edward and a YSG doing massive damage in here. And look at the amount of Ethelfleds, Dragothian. Look at the amount of Ethelfled's marches. That's the kind of stuff we are looking for at this top tier. These guys sacrificing the one march for the good of the Commonwealth, in the sense. One march, support march, UCS doing the same exact thing, all in order to get that extra damage out of these remaining four marches.
Yeah, with 25 minutes left in this match, it does look like it's kind of starting to get out of hand in favor of JWM. And I just happened to start meandering my eyes down to the bottom of the screen and noticing it is a very, very close game between 96RZ and DSP, with, I believe, 96RZ holding a back pocket arc in their grasp.
You do not have to believe it is exactly that. It is exactly that. We're spectating it right now, looking at that Ark of Osiris being held outside the outpost of Iset, and plenty of defense right next to it. Red buildings blinking. The point per minute game right now is very, very even. But the problem is the Ark, 3,000 points, just waiting to be delivered by the folks at 96RZ. They're ace in the hole, and boy, oh boy, DSP need to do something about that arc. If you do not force the folks of 96RZ to deliver it, they will hold on to it for as long as they can, which can only be problematic for DSP, because capturing 3,000 points in this level, 23 minutes remaining, and this match has been this even this whole time. if you even can get those 3,000 points through point per minute game, 96 RZ, deliver it, and that's that. And so the uphill battle is so big. Dragothian, when and how do you make that call of, guys, we need 3, 4, 10, whatever march is needed to walk up there into enemy territory, behind enemy lines, to force this arc to go? How do you make that call? What do you do?
It depends on your alliance, Gecko. So if you are a very strong rallying and coordination alliance, I would take that as an opportunity to just split my forces in two and start pushing on both sides of the matches, or both sides of the map. As you can see, looking at the screen, they've got 8 armies sitting around that arc, not doing much. I mean, it doesn't sound like a whole lot of armies, but at the end of the day, again, these level of alliances and this level of the game, that's a significant difference, especially considering most, if not all, of these armies are T5 on both sides. So with that being said, I would split it up, top and bottom side. Let's start rallying these objectives, which it looks like both sides are really starting to do. And let's go capture some sky altars and then make a push while we're doing that to go send maybe 5 to 10 armies up towards that arc and try and dislodge it. At the end of the day, all they've got to do is just jump inside of that building to capture it, and then we're back to normal. And if that's what ends up happening in that case, even if they don't get the arc back, DSP at least will have gotten the opportunity to capture some more in the next 22 minutes.
Yes, sir. And for a moment, I gasped. I don't know if you heard that, thinking, oh my God, someone actually went for the arc. Nope. Mira, who is holding on to the arc right now, decided his very weak march with a Dragon Lancer. Shout out to our friend Big Rick, the biggest fan of Dragon Lancer. Has a tattoo of Dragon Lancer and everything on him. That's how much he loves that commander. That march was so depleted. He went into a provisions, dropped the arc, sent the march back home, and now he is holding on to the arc with a full march, chilling. 8 marches, as you mentioned, well, now down to 4, sitting next to this Ark of Osiris. And this match is going to be super, super close. We're going to keep an eye on it for an extra moment. But before we do that, let's swap back briefly to the JWM versus UCS match. Make sure if anything has changed, because things are changing, Dragothian. 21 minutes remaining, sure. But look at the map. UCS holding on to 3 altars. This is what they needed. And look at that scroll up in the center of the screen. Ark of Osiris in the favor of UCS. Yes, there is mad fights here in the center, but don't count UCS out just yet.
Yeah, I mean, having those 3 altars is definitely critical for them having a chance to come back. That being said, that desert altar in the middle on the JWM side, getting swarmed down and also having a rally on it, I'm not sure how much longer that Alex can hold. But that being said, again, I mean, those are minutes that JWM is not ticking in favor of their score, and the delta is not as bad as it was. UCS is pulling some points back, but again, I think with JWM playing that prevent/aggressive style, still sending out rallies, but not necessarily posturing forward to really position themselves favorably inside enemy territory, keeping the middle locked down, at least locked down enough to where it's not going to be an easy cakewalk for UCS to bring that arc back.
With that being said, they still take control of it. Yes, sir. And the thing that's interesting here is there are 1,180 points per minute on the map right now. All the buildings together add up to 1,180 points. At 20 minutes remaining, that might be barely enough for the folks of UCS to come back if they take the whole map right now. For them, the number one and only priority has to be this arc right now. It's a 4,000 point arc. It'll close down that gap and actually give them that little bit of a breathing room to pick up a few of these altars and potentially be able to make this a much, much closer game towards the end. At this time, I really am not going to use the P word because it truly doesn't have any effect on this match. But the P word is definitely contestant here in the second match that we're looking at, the 96RZ against DSP. We'll go back into that match in a bit just to make sure things are okay in there. But for now, the brawl for this arc is pretty much what determines whether this goes very much in the favor of JWM, or there is a chance here for UCS, who have beaten JWM the first time around, to come back into this and clinch the 2-0, or will we have a 1-1 score and we'll have to wait for the third match of this best of three to see who will win in the small Arc of Osiris competition between these two alliances?
Yeah, absolutely. And UCS was able to capture the arc off of the ground there, but didn't move it. It was sitting there for the last 10, 12 seconds there. Not sure why that movement didn't happen, but like you just saw here a bit ago, JWM was able to drop that arc carrier without it moving, and now it is starting to be captured in favor of JWM, moving that arc back. And with only one Belisarius army chasing the arc carrier, not looking too good for UCS. JWM was able to push all those folks back on top of being able to grab that arc and say, see ya. And now it's heading in favor of JWM territory. And again, with having a 20,000 point almost delta between JWM and UCS in favor of JWM, and having this arc as well, like you said, this arc was critical for UCS to have a hope of coming back, and probably the next one as well, just to even have a chance to come back. And with this one passing the Temple of Osiris at this point, heading back over to JWM territory. I hate to call it, but we're at 17 minutes left, and it's looking pretty one-sided at this point.
We just watched one of the coolest things, as far as I'm concerned, on an Arc of Osiris. OVO trying to sneaky mix Nickerson his way through to the center, but you do not fool Die, you do not fool Max, and you do not fool IRLS. These guys were ready to go 5 marches. Da, one of the most notorious players in JWM, saw that coming and was ready to take care of business. These guys have 5 marches with Pepe in here in the center as well. And they're right now doing what you said, even though they really don't have to. They're holding that mountains line, and anyone who dares to turn that corner is met with such a fierce lineup of commanders that I truthfully don't know how you handle Noon, Da, Pepe, and Iorles's Genghis Khan marches. And while that happens, there's also a couple of Alex marches, plus each and every one of them has a Ethelfled march. Oh, my goodness gracious. And these are all maxed out legendary commanders.
Yeah, I mean, and again, we've even got JWM folks in the chat saying, we've got this wrapped up. Let's look at the other match. With that being said, again, looking at the arc here, arc's going to be going back. We've got a couple blinking buildings on the map here as well, with all 4 of them that are blinking pretty well secured and held on the battlefield too, and just kind of peeking down, trying to see, just based off of the little banner we've got from the other match being a lot more closer here. 29, with DSP in the lead, by the way, of 700 points or so. But again, having that back pocket Arc of Osiris in favor of 96RZ, 15 minutes left. Looking like both of the structure counts are roughly the same, with 96RZ down 1, I think, waiting for one of those lines to capture in favor and give them their points back. Wow. All these matches this morning have been absolutely fantastic. JWM certainly showing their strength here, being able to consistently hold their side of the map while still pushing, still taking territory in UCS territory, and then also, again, with this Arc of Osiris, pretty much 2 seconds, 3 seconds away from being captured to the outpost as well. I don't think any trickery is going to be needed for them to hold this arc. They can go ahead and just capture it. Everybody looking at the smiley face coming from the arc carrier, at least from my side, I could see that. Yeah, this is pretty much a done deal. They just captured it, and wow, 24,000 points in favor of JWM.
And so we want to take a quick look at what's going on the other matchup. The points per minute game just evened out right now. Let's go take a quick look and peek at what's happening there. Buildings blinking everywhere. 96 RZ still holding on to the arc of Osiris, and madness ensuing everywhere on this match, really. These guys at DSP are coming back into this. They've held the point per minute game for quite a bit. They had that lead for a significant time, allowing them to close that gap that the folks from 96RZ created for themselves, and now they even take the lead with about 1,000-point difference. Remember, 96RZ is still holding on to that back that ace in the hole, right? That back arc, holding onto it and getting ready. However, the real question is, do you return this arc right now or not? Someone making its way to the outpost of Isa, taking it away from 96RZ, shots fired across the bow, making sure that arc might potentially consider delivering it. Here's the thing, right? 96RZ have shown so far that they have a relatively good dominance of the open field. And so is it time to return this arc in so they can potentially pick up a second one and make this game much less close? As of right now, about 1,000-point difference between these two alliances. And boy, oh boy, it's only 3,000 points on Mira's hands. Again, you don't like the P word, but 2,000 points in provisioning is not something unheard of. We saw in the previous match, Newbie managed to get 2,000 points with provisions. And so holding on to a 3,000 point reserve when you are 1,000 point behind is a little bit dangerous, and playing it very, very close for 96RZ.
Yeah, for sure. And, seeing that outpost get captured for just a moment in favor of DSP, and then, 96RZ being able to take it right back because, again, it's an outpost. There's not going to be many troops left from a rally, even if they do take it, if it's defended especially. Tons of open field battles here. DSP definitely posturing forward from their side. To answer your original question, though, I would capture it. And the reason I say that, and again, I don't know who's listening, but at the end of the day, that's why we're here, right? I would capture it. And the reason being, you got 6.5 to 7 minutes before the next arc spawns. Right now, we've got 11.5 minutes. That gives about 4 minutes and some change for another capture of the arc in favor of either one of these teams. If I was 96RZ at this point, capturing the arc and then having enough folks in the middle to basically delay an arc capture in favor of DSP while also focusing on capturing buildings on either side, that's the way I would play it. I would focus my energies on the top and bottom lanes with the structures, but have just enough troops in the middle to delay the ability for a capture in favor of DSP. Because if DSP sees that capture, they're going to go in, they're going to say, we got to have this arc. We got to get this next arc. And they're going to overcommit their troops from the sides into the middle. And then that will be the chance for 96RZ to go ahead and start really pushing forward on the top and bottom there. And hopefully win the match in favor of 96RZ if you're a 96RZ fan.
You might not be a 96RZ fan, but you definitely might have been an individual who put some Oryx on that match, going for the odds.
Like this guy.
I like this guy too. Quite frankly, the situation here is very interesting. The big problem here is really, how does 96RZ make sure that DSP don't come in with a final moment clutch? And that it will get done through a points per minute game being evened out, as well as potentially, as you said, returning this arc and trying to get a little bit of an extra edge. Here's the thing, right? I'd like to go back for a moment, just to at least talk about the previous match we were looking at, the JWM versus the UCS match. As much as I would like to go back into it and finish that cast strong, the folks from JWM and UCS will have to excuse us, because this match is going down to the wire, and I don't think we will forgive ourselves if we don't get to watch the end of it. One thing that is important to point out, though, how big is an obelisk being taken away from you early on? Everything was came as a result of that very first rally hitting that obelisk. Once that happened, teleports got delayed. Everybody went, what the hell just happened? How did they get here? What are we doing? Where's this rally? How did this Richard happen? Hello? And when all that is going on in your comms, everything after that is, if the ground floor is crooked, the building you're building on top of it is all going to be messed up. When the foundation is not solid, everything above it is not solid. And that was the end of UCS, really. That one obelisk seems to have tilted off everything we knew about UCS. And truthfully, I don't think there was anything they could do about it. They played the play just like they should have, and somehow JWM just made it there faster.
Yeah, and as you're saying that, 96RZ taking the points advantage right now, having that capture, but again, having 8 minutes left roughly in this match.
No more arcs. 7:55. 7:55 for the arc spawn. There's 10 seconds to move that.
That's exactly right. So now it's time to focus on the outsides, keeping your respective buildings with that middle outpost blinking right now, making sure that needs to be in favor of your specific alliance. And then on top of that, you guys need to split your forces 15-15, or you can do 20-10 to overload one side. I think that there's a couple different strategies in play here that may help either team, because again, this is going to be a nail biter with 590 versus 590 points per minute on each side. If everything stays the same, this is 96RZ's match to lose.
Exactly so, Dragothian. And for the first time, I can probably say ever, right? Mm-hmm. Some folks went into the outpost for defense. The third march I have watched right now going into that outpost to defend it. These guys know and understand that their lead is so marginal that they cannot afford to lose this outpost no matter what. That's 30 points per minute less for them. It is only 90 points if they instantly recap this, but still, they know that every single small point matters. In Dragothian, I'm going to put my money down right now and tell you that if this goes like this for another 3 minutes, you're going to watch Provisions win this game. I'm telling you this right now. I've been saying it in every match, but one of these days I'll be right. And maybe this will be the day.
Hey, no, that's perfectly fine. And I think if there is a match where that's going to play out in favor of what you're going for, this is going to be that match. I mean, my goodness, we've got less than 1,000 point differential, really a 4. And you know what? It's been shrinking. So it was 1,000 points 5 seconds ago. Then it dropped to a 400, and now it's a 500 point difference. Provisioning is happening right this second to keep this match evened up, knowing that really everybody just has to defend. I think it's mass provisioning mode on both sides. People are scrambling, throwing out some troops, throwing out some armies to go out and gather these provisions.
What do you know? What do you know, Dragothian? The P word.
So here we go, right? So let's look at this. If this is the time, right? It's now. Oh my goodness, look at that. So we just switched in favor of DSP. DSP now has the lead significantly. If I was with just over 5 minutes left to go, either one of these alliances, I would be sending out all my armies to make sure that we capture and maintain these buildings. I would also make sure that I've got as much provisioning as possible, and then on top of that.
What? I'm sorry. How many? What did you just say? I just want to hear that again.
Let me get to the end. And I would also send out a few raiding rallies to start tapping the opponent's side of their provisioning. So I'd be interrupting their provisioning while I'm doing the best I can to provision myself. So best way to do that: send a 1 minute rally with a bunch of fast cav marches, and start marching those down towards the outpost, and then breaking it. And sending those armies running around killing provisioning, just like it's Mightiest Governor and the kill event on a server that allows killing farmers.
And so right now, 2 blue altars blinking hard. 96RZ about to lose a sky altar at the bottom. If they lose this building, that is going to be a tragedy. That building has a woo in it. A lot of marches hitting it. This is going down to the wire. The health bar is not proportionate to what's in this building. Remind you, it's a health bar that represents all the armies that have been in this building. And so it might be completely full. My goodness, the woo walked out. The Wu walked out. It got beaten out of the, oh no, the general got beaten out of the building. Sky Altar is about to potentially go down. The folks, both alliances picking up outposts from the other one, trying to be a nuisance. But this Sky Altar is everything. DSP went all in on this bottom Sky Altar. And now 96RZ need to hold on for dear life. They are 150 points behind the folks of DSP. And all of this goes back, Dragothian, to that one arc. When do you deliver that one arc? The guys from 96RZ held onto it for too long. They did not see DSP coming back into this. And this, as you said, is provisioning. Woo! And this is, as you said, it is the match for 96RZ to lose. And I'm sorry to say this, but if they do lose this, you cannot blame anyone but them. They cannot blame anyone but themselves for that arc, as well as some amazing play by DSP.
Oh, it's got a sliver of health. It has a sliver of health.
And DSP on top of that,
trying to hold on, but look at all that DSP coming up. I don't see how they hold it. This is going to be too much. This is going to be too much with all the outposts in favor of every single outpost, all 6 outposts, red or blinking red. Wow.
There goes the Sky Altar.
Wow.
Oh, there goes the Sky Altar. Wow. 210 points per minute now in the favor of the folks of DSP. And a massive tragedy happened here. You know why? They can dip out of the Sky Altar. There is not enough time to occupy it. These are dead points as far as these 2 minutes are concerned. These points are donezo. As a matter of fact, any building exchanging hands right now are donezo. With that being said, there's still hope. There's still way to come back into this. Although now DSP taking 1,000-point lead-ish. There's still enough time for provisions to come in and try to clutch this through. But man, oh man, towards the end, the resilience at the end was DSP's, and as you said, 96RZ's to lose. And it looks like 96RZ came in just shy of what they needed. 1 minute and 30 seconds remaining. Are we going to rip our Oryx once again, Dragothian?
This is why they call it betting, right?
And not winning.
That's what we said last time.
Yes, sir.
So this isn't an investment. This is a bet. So, looking at this match and seeing how this played out. Wow, what a fantastic finish to both matches, but really with this one in particular, having DSP come through in the clutch, winning the provisioning battle towards the end, the last 5 minutes, and then taking that altar, stopping it from gaining 150 points per minute in favor of 96RZ. And now just, again, continuing to keep the pressure up, not letting anybody take buildings from them. They got 560 points per minute, which means they only lost 1 outpost in that whole ordeal, which they also already have back. So, yeah, I don't see any way of 96RZ coming back. And again, I got to go back to that arc, like you said, the arc that was sitting there and not necessarily doing anything. I think that was a strong play up until that 11-ish minute mark. I think they should have capped it and then, like I said, put it, and again, hindsight being 2020, right? They should have capped it. They should have went to the middle with enough to delay, and then they should have kept a strong defense on their own structures on the top and bottom lanes and pushed forward with the extra armies that they would have had, positioning themselves in the middle just enough versus overwhelmingly. And then that would have given them an advantage to not only keep the lead, but also possibly push for it and do the same thing that that DSP just did. And that with that, DSP gets the victory.
Unbelievable. One very important thing to point out, you mentioned that the arc play was a big mistake, and let's dive into that just a little bit longer. The thing here is, right, Dragothian, when you own that arc, everything is in your favor. But once that arc goes back into contesting it, now you start making people think, damn, we really need to focus on that arc too. By delivering that arc at the 11th minute, they would have made DSP have to invest more marches, time, and effort into the center. When they picked up that arc at the end, what they did is they took a burden off of DSP's shoulders, which is the center. They realized that, if these guys are going to hold on to the arc, well, we're not going to put pressure on the center. We're just going to use these marches and go get buildings and go get provisions. All the provisions that came in for DSP's favor at the end could have been marches that were stuck in the center fighting it out to try to get that second arc. Of course, hindsight is 2020, and I'm really looking forward to see the stats on both of these matches. We're going to look at both of them. We have them both pulled up right here. First and foremost, look at provisioning. Dragothian, look at what won this match. You cannot deny it. You cannot deny it. This is DSP's this is what I've been waiting for so long, for a match that is so close that the top tier has to say, listen, we have to gather. We have to get those extra guaranteed points. And I believe, again, we're going to be seeing this quite more on every match. We're going to see the other set of stats for JWM against UCS as well in a moment. But let's dive into this for a second. Units healed, Dragothian, 19 million in the blue side, 96 RZ, 8 million on DSP's side. The total kills looking relatively even. I mean, those 3.6 million kills aren't really that big of a difference. I am so happy to see DSP winning from a provisions perspective. I am hoping and praying that this screen that the folks are seeing on the cast right now will be etched in people's memory when they say provisioning doesn't matter.
Again, there's a time and place for everything, right?
For
this
sure.
was definitely the time and place for provisioning. And just looking at the score, right, 751, they started doing that at the end when they noticed, oh no, their provisioning we're not. They're gonna catch up to our 1,000-ish point lead pretty quickly, doing some solid provisioning. And again, I go back to that screen where we were looking at, sitting there watching 8-10 armies just sitting there with the arc. Those could have been provisioning the whole time. And given them the points they need to win.
Unbelievable. Now, Dragothian, I'm going to swap to the JWM match. I don't know whether or not you'll be able to see the stats. You probably switched up the match on your device. So the folks on the stream are going to see it in a moment. One unit healed.
Yeah, I saw.
One unit healed by JWM, breaking that 0 streak of theirs. I'm not entirely sure whether or not this was intentional or this is actually something people get upset about, truthfully.
That might be a little bit of BM.
That might be a little bit of BM right there. Although I think the 0 is even more of a BM. I want you to keep an eye very quickly too at JWM's provisioning score for a moment. It didn't matter in this match at all, but you can see that if we are looking at the perfect Arc of Osiris, I think that we can almost agree that JWM showed one of the best Arcs of Osiris we've seen in a while. They've used every single mechanic in the game to keep the game in their favor at all time. And when these guys get 8,000 points in provisioning, I am really hoping this opens up the eyes of every single alliance out there. Do not sleep on those guaranteed easy points that all they require is one march. One of your marches, which you most likely forgot about because it was marching back home and you were doing something else and it stayed in the home for the last 3-4 minutes. That one march did this much damage.
Yeah, absolutely. And, when we're talking about JWM and looking at that score, all those different scores are definitely very critical for success. I think that when you're looking at the provisioning, though, some of it was strategic and tactical, and then some of it was, I need to get my points. I need to get my 10,000 points so I can get my sculptures too. So I'd be interested really to see the point totals for the JWM side to see if everybody got. I'm sure they did, but especially with all that provisioning being done. And certainly all that occupation score, being able to house all those armies in those buildings because you owned them. Great matches. I mean, we've got 4 in the books already. We've got another, 12 coming up?
4 to come.
Roughly?
4 to come.
4.
This
No,
is
4.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
So
Round
12,
of 16. We have
12
8.
12 alliances. Yeah. That's what I meant. Okay. Right? Or no, 8 alliances. I'm
there
sorry.
You go.
The math is struggle this morning.
It's very early in the morning for you, my friend. It's okay. we know all this by now. Hey, anyway, the 1 unit healed. The BM right there, I guess. The teleports evened out. The occupation looked fairly even. 4 arcs captured by JWM. Methodic, surgeon, precise type of play. And UCS now eliminated out of this tournament, as well as the Royals 96 RZ with their first ever Arc of Osiris loss in this match. A lot of things can be said about both these alliances, but the one thing that has to be said to all 4 of them is major GGs and props for an unbelievable match. Dragothin, any final words from you before we sign off and go to the analyst standing area thing?
Just 4 words. Good game. Well played.
All right, so let's go back and see what else we can do to wrap this up.
Sounds good. I appreciate everybody watching. This was definitely a good one. Cannot wait for these next matches coming up.
Yes, sir, Dragothian, thank you very, very much for another unbelievable cast. Congratulations to the folks of JWM. Big GGs to the folks of UCS and 96RZ DSP. Congratulations to you guys. Moving on to the next phase, it seems that even though the odds were very, very one-sided on both these matches, the community knew exactly what it was doing. And what can we say? Thank you guys very much for watching this cast. We hope you guys enjoyed it. It was an unbelievable match. We do apologize to the folks of JWM and UCS for not sticking till the end of that match. It was way, 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 way too close in the 96RZ versus DSP match for us to not stay there and cast it towards the end. So we do very much apologize to both those alliances for doing that. We do believe that your win and as well as loss were very, very crucial, and have much respect for both these alliances, but sometimes we have to make these small sacrifices in order to have the best cast possible. Chat, thank you very much for being here. I appreciate every single one of you. Before you leave, drop a like on the stream and come say hi to myself and Dragothian on our YouTube channels, linked at the bottom. Again, Dragothian, thank you very, very much for this awesome cast. Always a pleasure casting with you. Thank you guys very much for being an awesome community, supporting us, supporting the main Rise of Kingdoms stream through and through. I'll see you guys sooner rather than later. We have a double header coming up. A very, very fun doubleheader. We will be covering the second match of the 1 p.m. UTC matchup. We will have both those matches on the screen like we've been having. Again, we are here for the community, and when you guys tell us these are things you guys want, we're doing everything within our power to give you guys the best Osiris League experience. And for next season, if you want to make sure this doesn't happen, voice your opinion. Let Lilith Gaming know how much you enjoy these casts and you want them to make multicasts, multiple channels, more commentators, more manpower, more visual effects going nuts, and not me sitting in my living room, well, standing in my living room while casting off with the Dragothian a whole day, only one match at a time. Let Lilith know. And we'll see you guys in the next time slot, 1 p.m. UTC. We got a doubleheader, a very exciting one. You guys have a great rest of your day and take care.